My name is Casey Spooner, and I'm an artist. I started as a visual artist. My mother was my art teacher when I was a child. So very early on, I was encouraged to be creative and do lots of visual art. So I did everything from sculpture to painting to drawing, metalsmith. I went to a magnet school for the visual arts. And then when I went to college, I started connecting with more musicians and being around more performers. And then I went to art school, and in Chicago, in my painting classes, all my painting professors said that one of the best parts of my painting was when I would talk about them. And so they encouraged me to work in performance. And out of that, I fell into an experimental theater company called Eureka that I worked with for 9 years and co-wrote and performed original material. I know it seems crazy that I do all these different things and I do them at the same time, but they actually, each thing, it's what's natural to me, is to move between all these different things, because they all sort of inform each other. And if I do one thing too long, that's when I feel trapped and I start to get stuck and I lose perspective. I mean, I think that's the thing that I've learned the most, is that the most important thing for me in being an artist is having perspective. And so it doesn't really matter what the form is, as long as I have a perspective, as long as I have a point of view and it fits within the formal aspects of the genre, then I'm okay. So I'm always looking for like perspective, and that perspective can apply to different. You can basically be saying the same thing through different forms. We work in a very, I think, unusual way for most people who work in music. Sometimes we start with a bigger concept. Not really that we're just going to make a song, but more we try to choose a thematic direction. We try to make big decisions about how it's going to be performed, how we're going to present the image. So it's a more kind of holistic approach from the beginning. And Warren and I also have all these different kind of skills that we like to use. He's a film director and makes television commercials. I'm very good at making images, working in photography, and performance. So we both have an interest in design. So there's this kind of combination of us working in film, photography, music, and performance that's always kind of the core, and that we build from there. The only thing that we have self-released, well, we started by self-releasing. That was how it all began. We made music, and we had a friend who worked at a CD factory, and so we just started making CDs. Then we started selling those CDs, we started shipping those CDs. We made more money when we made our own CDs. And then, from there we started to partner with, first we partnered with a very small label called Serotonin, and they released vinyl, and they had an exclusive license for 6 months. Then from that release, we ended up meeting up with International DJ Gigolos in Munich, and we were released with DJ Hell. Then from DJ Hell, our releases got picked up by Ministry of Sound. Then Ministry of Sound went out of business within a month of release. And then we were bought out, whatever. We'll just jump cut. Just do lots of jump cuts. And then we were bought out by EMI. So we went from handmade, small, independent, mid-sized to major. And I was the most unhappiest at the level at a major. So when our contract was dissolved, I was relieved and we went back to taking care of things ourselves. And so sometimes, you know, I wonder, should we keep making it? Is the project still relevant? Is the idea still relevant? I mean, when we started, it was a very different world. And this idea of performance art and extreme fashion mixed with electronic and music and a kind of pop show, it, you know, it's sort of become status quo now. Like, it's what everyone does. So sometimes I think, oh, you know what, that's done. I don't need to do it. I did it. And I did it first. So who cares? But we just made a song and it was really fun. I mean, I travel a lot. In fact, I kind of burned out about 2 years ago and I stopped traveling for a year. Traveling is good because I always feel like I would get a lot of the best work done on airplanes. It's like the one place. It's the one place where, before there was Wi-Fi on airplanes, it felt like the one place where the world was quiet. And I think because you're in this moment of, like, very fragile and emotional, I would do a lot of my best writing on airplanes because it was very contemplative, without distraction, and a little bit fear of death helped give me perspective. And then, you know, just being around other cultures, seeing what people respond to, you know, seeing amazing flamenco performances at 6 o'clock in the morning in Malaga, or, you know, just, I'm trying to think other, going out into Berlin, you know, staying up all night, going to Moscow, being in Paris. I don't know, yeah, you see all these things that influence and excite you. Don't make an abbreviation of what you are thinking. For years I made stuff that I felt that people would somehow be able to decipher my intention, and then they would recognize that and give me the resources to make what I really imagined, and that never worked. Like, I was always showing stuff that was kind of 80% or was almost or was kind of what I wanted. And it wasn't until I really just gave up on anyone helping me and I decided to just make exactly what I imagined. Which is, you're always going to fall short, and the more you work and the harder you work, the more small things feel big. But ultimately, pushing yourself to actually execute your idea as thoroughly as possible is the best way for people to recognize and understand what you're trying to say. So that was kind of what happened with Fisher Spooner, is that I put my foot down and I put all my money and all my time and I took a big risk and I prepared myself for imminent failure. And it wasn't until, you know, we went all the way with an aesthetic idea that people finally could connect and understand what I was doing.